Curious about the Logitech G923's TrueForce force feedback feature, try saying that drunk, and whether it's any good? Here's what you need to know. The Logitech G923 is the G29 and G920 successor. Yeah, not sure about the numbers either. Anyway, what matters is that it combines the shift light and rotary control from the PlayStation-friendly G29 with a new force feedback system known as TrueForce. There's also a progressive spring under the brake pedal instead of a rubber block, which is good for more accurate braking. And the rest is business as usual, which is why this video looks at the new stuff only. So, TrueForce. Is it more immersive? Can you more easily feel when you're about to lose traction? And does this help justify the Logitech G923's £350 or $400 price tag? Well, that's what I'll find out in this video because I have both the G920 and G923 at my disposal. What is TrueForce, Ben? Well, it's a force feedback system that's said to be more precise. You know those moments when you feel a car about to lose traction? That's one of many sensations that force feedback tries to emulate through vibration. How does it work? Logitech's interpretation connects directly to a game's physics and audio system. The G93 uses this data and then processes it at up to 4,000 times per second, ensuring the feedback you get can adapt quickly to whatever is going on in a game. Why audio? Because racing games use sound to convey a lot of information. In WRC9, for example, you know the surface is loose because you can hear stones banging into the underside of the car. Or there's the screeching of tires when you brake too hard and lock the wheels. This audio info translates to many physical sensations, which the Logitech G923 converts into tactile feedback. Many racing games already separate different types of noise, such as tire friction and engine, in the audio volume options, so it's not necessarily difficult to implement. The other side of the TrueForce equation is the closed-loop motor control, a combination of hardware and advanced firmware that lets the G93 continuously adjust voltage levels to match outputs from a game's physics system. In other words, steering wheel torque can be adjusted with greater accuracy and speed to match the situation. That, according to Logitech, means the G923 improves realism, responsiveness, and can make legacy force feedback games feel better. One issue with TrueForce is that developers need to add in the extra info for the G923 to read and convert. The first 4 games that support TrueForce are Assetto Corsa Competizione, F1 2020, Grid, and iRacing. More titles will be added later, as Logitech assures me all major developers have a G923, but this is at the mercy of each game's development strategy. So who knows if and when it will arrive for each racing game. Having spoken to a friendly chap at Logitech named Rich, I set up my G923 like he does for my first test game, which is iRacing. It's unofficially supported as opposed to the other 3, but the implementation is full fat. These are the settings in case you're curious. My first impression when driving with TrueForce is that the constant vibration through the steering wheel brings the car to life. In road cars, this sort of vibration is purposefully reduced, but in a stripped out high horsepower race car, it feels authentic and raw. This is good and bad. Good because it makes you feel more connected to all that metal and rubber. Bad because it somehow emphasizes how different a real car and a digital interpretation handle. This is partly because the G93 vibrations mimic sounds so accurately that you can actually turn off the game sound and hear what's going on by putting your head near the steering wheel. No, it's not a speaker in the steering wheel, as a few internet people have said, but this vibration-based symphony does remind you that you're at home playing in your underpants and not, actually racing. Is it just a gimmick then? No, because the link between the two sensations helps you work out entry speeds into a corner, when you will need to counter steer, how grippy the surface below you is, and a whole lot more. Things that can make you faster and more in control. Not only that, it also hides the grainier feel of a gear-based steering wheel system, which to be fair is most noticeable if you turn the wheel when not playing a game, but not so bad the rest of the time. So will it make you a better driver? Technically no, but it may help, as immersion aside, I found TrueForce to be strangely intuitive. It provides a layer of extra information for the driver, and that's rarely a bad thing in a sim racing setup. In other games without TrueForce, such as WRC8 and Project Cars 2, the G923 feels smooth and responsive enough, although you really do notice the lack of that constant vibration. Maybe side by side with its predecessors you could tell a difference in the standard force feedback, but that could just be confirmation bias. The G923's brake pedal is, however, considerably better. There's more pedal travel, which helps with muscle memory and precise braking. It's less on and off, which was a problem actually with the rival Thrustmaster pedals, the T3PAs. The feeling is not as precise as my Thrustmaster TLCM pedals, but it isn't a million miles away. So should I buy the G923? Well, those expecting it to be a radical departure will be disappointed. Personally, I wouldn't say it's worth upgrading directly from its predecessors, given that sim racing stuff has jumped up in price since Corona hit. The upgrades are largely great, there's just not enough of them. But what if you're coming from something a lot older, or a controller? Well, there's the small matter of needing some other bits, such as a racing stand, and even better, a shifter or handbrake to really see the G923 shine. With that stuff, or perhaps a sturdy enough table or desk, the G923 works out as one of the better budget sim racing steering wheels, and a worthwhile way to make your racing games more immersive and rewarding. It's just that Corona has pushed Logitech prices up into decent Thrustmaster steering wheel territory, which makes them a tougher sell. A belts-driven and therefore smoother T300, for instance, is about the same price as the G923, although the latter's pedals are better. Still, with Logitech, you know you're getting a usually reliable product, and that, at least in the past, a sale price is never too far around the corner. Because if the G923 could drop to a pre-Corona price, it would be a lot easier to recommend. And that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more sim racing and real car videos. Take care, bye.